Hi, and welcome back to the CapYear Cast. I'm your host, John Walkup, and today we're joined by Dr. Sami Shoucair, Evan Dilks, and Michelle Bomgardner, who are at MedStar Health General Surgery in Baltimore. Thank you guys for your time in advance. The interesting thing about today's episode is we're going to be talking the journey to PA school. So, Evan, Michelle, I think this is where the spotlight shines on you guys, and we're going to be discussing, what it was like to make that decision, what it was like for the application, and what that journey has been like in general. So why don't you guys just kind of take it from the top, introduce yourselves, and start talking about the journey?
I'm Evan Dilks. I've been a PA for about 6 months, give or take, and I've been with general surgery. This is my first job. Um, Finished school a couple months prior to me starting, and yeah, been here ever since.
My name is Michelle. I graduated PA school also about 5, 6 months ago. Um, Before PA school, I was an EMT in the fire department and got this job uh, right out of school, actually.
That's great. So tell me about the decision of PA school. I'm curious, how that came about.
So originally, I was thinking about nursing school, and I ran into a friend of mine who was she was finishing PA school at the time, and she just kind of got me interested. I wasn't exactly sure how to go about it, and I started looking a little bit deeper into it. And as it turns out, I needed a lot of things to qualify for this. So I spent about 2 years gathering all my clinical experience and all of the prerequisites and the prerequisites to the prerequisites to even be eligible to apply. So it's one of those things that if you decide to do it, it takes some time to build toward even being eligible. So that was sort
Basically,
of yeah.
yeah, you have to kind of plan years in advance. Mine was quite the opposite. Right out of high school, I did an internship where I would leave high school early and I would go and volunteer at a local hospital. So I shadowed essentially as I was volunteering in a lot of different departments and a lot of different people as well. So I met a lot of doctors, respiratory therapists, PAs, nurses, all different people within the healthcare system, and basically decided pretty early on that I wanted to go to PA school. So, I kind of had all of undergrad to basically plan a little bit more. So I didn't have to go back and redo any prereqs. I knew exactly which programs I wanted to apply to, kind of years in advance. And then there's also, very specific prerequisites for each program, as is med school, in order to not get weeded out in the application process. I think that's similar, right? There's a screening.
Yeah, yeah, and I think this is very interesting, John. As you know, a lot of the students and the candidates that reach out to us through CapYear are struggling to find that guidance or how they can get themselves set up. And as
Mm-hmm.
Evan and Michelle are saying, it takes years to get ready. So an interesting question for you guys: what guidance or who was helping you navigate through that process to get ready? Was it in your undergrad school? Was it you personally? Was it a personal mentor? Who was helping you get through that process?
Mine was classmates. A lot of them were also applying to medical school. So a lot of the prerequisites overlapped. And our academic advisors at my undergrad university knew, because my undergrad university was also the institution that had a PA school as well.
Right.
So it was very outlined, and I was able to kind of follow that. And then from there, speaking with peers, it was obvious that I needed to look at each program that I wanted to apply to and ensure that I met all requirements.
Right.
I actually personally had a mentor who had been through the whole process. And through knowing her and through kind of picking her brain, she introduced me to some other people that could also sort of throw their opinion and their guidance in as well. So it's funny because I feel like PA school is like kind of like a self-driven, there's not like a single track to go down. People come from all different backgrounds, and everybody's experience and gathering their experience to even go to PA school is different. It's not very streamlined. So, you know, but it's having somebody in your back pocket that can sort of like talk you through, okay, at this point you should be meeting this milestone and so on and so forth. You know, that's helpful.
Interesting. So, what is that? I mean, you guys have such different backgrounds, you know, when it comes to, you know, getting into PA school. And I'm curious, you know, looking back at it, what are some of the things, just, you know, a couple of things that you would have loved to have known before you started this journey?
Oh man.
Feel free just to you know, let us drink from the fire hose. Just shoot it all out. It's all right.
Everybody knows that it's hard. And the fire hose analogy that you will hear over and over again is not something you can ever prepare for. Until you are in PA school, there really isn't any curriculum that you can try to do, you know, the summer before you start or anything. I feel like you just kind of jump into it. I mean, reviewing anatomy and physiology is always important for the actual, you know, bulk of what you're going to be learning right off the bat, but it's just so much.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, a question I get from a lot of people who want to go to PA school is, you know, what should I do the summer before to prepare, or to, you know, should I, you know, study an anatomy book like cover to cover? And the truth is that's not going to be a good use of your time. I mean, they are going to train you in the way that they want, and you're going to just have to meet very quick and short milestones. And that's just the reality.
That's a good point. I think establishing your support system very early on is really important. I mean, I talked to everybody everybody knew that this was going to be a huge change in my life and that I was going to need help along the way. So establishing whatever support system you can and being prepared for when your mental health kind of is struggling because you don't know how to keep up with the material, or you don't do as great on a test, and how to kind of keep pushing through. You know, if you already have you know, history, obviously, you know, reconnect with a therapist or somebody that is, you know, you've seen in the past. I mean, it's not a bad idea. And then, you know, they know that you're going to be going into a very stressful 2 years of your life.
Well, what's also interesting in that 2 years, you know, you come out of it the other end with people that you've basically been in war with. You know, nobody's going to understand your experience like the 32 other people in that class that went through the exact same experience. You know, that's all of the triumphs, that's all of the failures, that's all of the you know, you kind of experience it all together. And it's you know, you get a lot of support from the people that you're in it with. As far as things that I wish I had known, I guess because it's really, PA school is really the sum of all of its parts. My advice to anybody coming into PA school or looking to get into PA school is, you know, there are those people that are going to stress over every little grade and every little piece of this step of the way. And very early in PA school, you're going to have like the people that are, what did you get? What'd you get? You know, you're going to have that.
Right.
By like the second semester, it's like you're getting tested so often that who cares? Yeah, I mean, you care yourself, but like looking at it comparatively is not it. You realize pretty quick on that that's just not useful. Yeah, it's not useful.
Well, it's interesting because this is actually one of the things that I've heard multiple times. Now, we've talked about, you know, at previous episodes in the past, when we talk about getting prepared, and a lot of it comes down to the mentorship. And again, you know, talking about programs and identifying which programs, and there's a lot of that we can just set aside for the moment, because the one core thing that keeps repeating back is this idea of almost wellness, right? And having someone to sort of, you know, help you, because it is mentally draining and exhausting. And you know, Sami, to your point, I mean, medical school is very similar. And I'm curious, especially, you know, inside the general surgery rotation, is it for residents? I mean, there's a lot of support that has to go into sort of nurturing the providers themselves, because not only are you guys learning a ton of stuff in PA school, but I can imagine, you know, coming out and hitting the ground running inside a practice, especially in a surgery practice, has got to be daunting.
Yeah, I agree. And the one thing listening now, we don't talk about these things every day, right? You don't hear everyone's story and everyone's journey every day. But hearing Michelle and Evan's story today, they're very similar to anyone who's planning a career in healthcare, right?
Yeah.
Medical school preparation is the same, seems to be the same or just as difficult as PA school preparation. The stress that you go through, the commitment that you have to put in, the time commitment, or like Michelle said, like a lot of things are going to change for her. But this is also the value of what we're doing here with this through the CapYear Cast, right? These things are not out there as much as we would want them to be, right? Even if we get guidance from our mentors or from our peers, it's nice to see that everyone has their own journey. We'll all share the same difficulties together, and this is what actually brings us all to work in the same place, work together happily because we've all been through the same process. But I think it all adds up to the same career in healthcare with the same commitment that starts early on.
Right. And let me shift on that a little bit. And that's talking about starting early on. And Michelle, one of the things you mentioned is that when I think you just an undergraduate or even high school, you were shadowing physicians. And I'm curious, at what point did it kind of click for you that like, okay, healthcare is it? This is really this is where I want to spend my time. I know it's an incredibly challenging world to go to, but I dig it.
I did it my junior and senior year of high school. And I think it was probably more so my senior year, probably my, rotation with the ICU. You just see a lot more things that you've never seen before as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's just, you're so impressionable. And you really see how much you have the capacity to help, based off of an individual person, how much compassion actually impacts, just daily discussions with family, being able to explain things in a way that is meaningful to them. I saw that as a doctor or a PA, I really saw that there was a lot of benefit in changes in the way that you go about plans and care plans. So I knew I was considering med school or PA school, but I personally did not have the support system enough. I knew that early on to go to medical school.
Gotcha. And Evan, what about you? At what point did it click for you?
I made like a conscious, after I did my research on what PAs are, what they do, and in what capacities they can work. I was like, okay, great. Now I just need to get all these hours to, actually get into school. So I did some networking, and I just through my parents know through like a couple degrees of separation, a guy that works at a family practice, and I was able to do a lot of shadowing, like, several times a week. I was originally interested in it because I do like primary care. It's not, now I know it's not really for me, but initially I really did like primary care. But I also liked the team-based approach that PAs take to medicine. And I also liked how they are equal parts leadership and, team, throttle back when it's necessary. And, when in that private practice, I saw the PAs that worked there, they had a lot of autonomy, which I knew that I wanted out of a medical career, but a lot of support as well. Both of those were really important to me. And when I saw that was how this is rolling in motion, that's when it clicked. And I was like, okay, now we really need to see this thing through. And it's, just never stopped.
That's great. Sam, I want to get you in this conversation too, because I would love to hear about your journey, through medical school, and when did it click for you? And how has that process been on your side?
Well, it hasn't clicked for me yet. I'm still waiting for it, but
right.
No, I'm just kidding. I think it does. Everyone who makes that commitment, we make it when we're pretty young, right? Even if you have a change in career halfway through, you're young in the healthcare field. You don't always know what you're embarking on. You know that you have that interest. The interest becomes passion. You start getting attached to it. Then you put some effort and start getting more committed. Then it's hard to let go. Then it becomes a goal. So I think this is how it was for me. And I can speak on behalf of a lot of people who go into these healthcare careers, that it's a passion that we develop, and then it's hard to let go because we end up loving it so much. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
And it develops too. Yeah.
That's a good way
to put it. you don't necessarily know exactly what is going to be expected of you before you fully get into it. And, shadowing gives you a good idea, but when you're fully on your own, and then you can start to realize.
Yeah, no, every day you come in and, it's a lifestyle, right? Every day you're coming in and you don't know what you're going to find, but you're open to that expectation. You're open to the possibilities, difficult patient, easy patient, difficult cases, something unusual, something straightforward for the day. But I think, like you're saying, the shadowing introduces you to the lifestyle. It helps you develop that passion, see what you're going to be doing. It's not exactly, it's not like you work at a bank, you go in every day, the things that you're going to do,
right,
or the type of questions you're going to be asked. But I think I wouldn't trade it for anything else. And now that I know I'm in the weeds of it, the difficult days and the easy days, I think I'm here for it. I would never trade it for any other career.
Absolutely, and the variety is there. I mean, it's when I think of like doing just like a, kind of like Sami was saying, like a banker kind of job or something that's just sort of like you have your tasks of the day and you do those tasks, and then every day is different, and every and you
learn something new.
Yeah, the more things that you have thrown at you, the more you develop your own style and how to deal with those things, whether it comes down to conversations with family members, conversations with patients. The more you see, the more you sort of alter how you approach things, and you get more confident in it, and then you get more excited because you're confident in dealing with those things. So, and that's the thing that I think keeps us coming back. It's like an adrenaline rush of like the variety of the day is what gets you out of bed.
That's cool. So,
I mean, I know we're going to talk the environment that we work in together. The question is bringing us to that same spot where whether you go into med school or you become a PA, you are in the same big bubble that is that lifestyle that you're going into. I guess no, Evan and Michelle work with us, and there's a residency team. It might be different than different practices, but that's something we can talk about in the future.
Right. And so again, we're definitely going to have you guys back, but I do want to get a little bit of a spoiler alert. I'm just, Evan, Michelle, to put the question right to you. What is life as a PA like after PA school versus what did you think life was going to be like before PA school?
Good question. I like this question.
So life after PA school, I think the biggest transition from PA school to working is you're like, can I do this? Like, am I ready to do this? You have to just get involved to do it before you actually do it. Or I'm sorry, you have to actually do it before you actually get used to like how it works, and then you can sort of, and you're like, okay, cool, this is clicking. Before PA school, could I have ever imagined doing what I'm doing now? Sometimes it's hard to look back and be like, I just feel like I was a completely different person 5 years ago. Like when it came to, could I envision this? Probably not. Am I happy that I embarked on it? Looking back, it was a very long journey and it had a lot of twists and turns, but I'm so happy with the way that it went that I'm glad I did it. I really am.
Yeah, I think the same way. I mean, I think afterwards, I still have a little bit of the imposter syndrome that is normal to any new grad. And with that, you have to lean on peers. But basically, anytime, I remember that I get a little bit of sense of what it was like beforehand. I would never imagine that I would be consenting, somebody for surgery or, helping with surgery. It's cool.
Yeah.
Right.
You realize that you're doing exactly what you're hoping that you would get to do.
It almost seems surreal. You're signing your note and you see the PAC behind your name and you're like, this is crazy. I worked
my first week here. I was like, Evans,
I'm so nervous. You're like, all right, click it. Yes, signed. And now we're like just signing there. Now, you're not as nervous anymore because you're doing it and you're living it. Whereas like, you have to sit back and think like, wow, that's an accomplishment. Like 5 years ago, I never would have thought this is everything that I was working for. And now it's coming to fruition. And now it's like, that's such a cool feeling.
That's great.
I think many people who are listening can relate, can see the other side, right? So probably all three of us can say that we succeeded in getting the job that we want, or being in that happy place where we've always wanted to be. But everyone can know that it takes a lot of hard work, but it's doable. You can be here. You can enjoy your first order, your first patient. You can come in and know that this is what I've wanted, and then here I am. It takes a lot of work, as we're saying, but it's doable.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into the work soon. We're sort of running out of time for this episode. So, Dr. Sami Shoucair, thank you very much. Evan Dilks, appreciate it. Michelle Bomgardner, this has been awesome. We'll be back with more episodes. So thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.